Hello everyone. So today I am here to discuss the topic of investigational use of drugs. In this topic I will discuss about what is investigational drugs, what are the principles involved with the investigational use of drugs, and what is the control and identification of investigational use of drugs. So we'll consider one by one. What is the investigational use drugs? So first we'll understand what is investigational use drugs, what are the investigational products. So any new product which is used for the testing procedures, so we'll call it as a investigational drugs. According to the International Conference on Harmonization, JCP, Good Clinical Practices, it is defining investigational product means any of the new products. So a pharmaceutical firm of an active ingredient means have a therapeutic value, or any placebo being tested. Placebo means don't have any therapeutic value, means used for the comparison purpose, being tested or used as a reference in a clinical trials. They are called as a investigational product. What others we'll discuss in the next section. We call it as an investigational product. So this may include marketed product, any marketed product that is being used in a different form, means any formulation which is in the market as a capsule. Now there is a new trial, we can say, on another formulation other than the capsule, means any injection, any other form or syrup form. So we call it as an investigational product. It's written here, the marketed product that is being used in a different form than the one it was approved for. So I told you the same, or the marketed product being used for an unapproved or new indication. I told you if any of the formulation is used for treating I can say the neurological symptoms, but here we are doing a trial for the same drug for treating any other infection, so means gastrointestinal infection. So for the new indication, if they are using any product, we call it as an investigational product. A drug may be considered new. What are the other conditions when a particular drug is considered new? When there is a change in the formulation, when there is a change in the route of administration, when there is a change in the patient population. So if any formulation is used for the pediatric population, yes. Now we are trying to do a trial on geriatric population. We are seeing the effects of a particular drug on a geriatric population. At the same time, it is called as a new drug or called as an investigational product. So this is the definition of investigational drugs when we call any of the drug called as a investigational drug. Now principles for the involved for the use of investigational drug. So if any institution is doing a clinical trial or testing any of the new product, then institution should follow some points. What are these points? Point number one, an institution, here the institution is the hospital, an institution that is setting for investigational drug study, they should have adequate safeguards for itself, yes, for its staff, means whosoever are working in the clinical trial. The scientific integrity, whatever the studies are performed in a hospital, they should have the scientific integrity, means basis on some evidence. Integrity of the study and especially the patient. So to maintain the integrity of patient, what institute is doing? They are going with a concept called as patient consent form. Without of it, patient can't participate in the trial. So this is patient consent form under the safeguarding the patients. Point number two, what institute should do? All investigational drug study meet accepted ethical, it should be ethical, the study should be ethical, they should be legal, they should have scientific standards. I told you it is on the basis of the evidence, and should be conducted appropriately by qualified investigators, means whosoever are performing the practicals. Investigators means whosoever are performing the practicals, especially they are the physician, they are doctors, they could be the pharmacist, they could be nurses, microbiologists, clinical pharmacologists. So, they could be the investigators. All patients who participate in the investigational drug studies, I told you in the first point number 1, for safeguarding the patients, no patient will participate in the trial without filling the consent form. So, all patients who participate in investigational drug study must freely consent in writing. They will write a consent in which whatever the information is given in the consent form, of course, what drug is used for the trial, for how much duration the trial is going on, whatever the doses are there, whatever the follow-up periods are there. So, everything is written on the consent form and patient will see it, patient will understand all the things and will sign it, which is called as a patient consent form. Another point institution should have, whosoever are working on use of investigational drugs. So, the principal investigator is responsible for proper maintenance, means if a doctor is performing any of the practicals, they will maintain the case reports form and all other records. Case report forms means whatever the data is achieved, taken at the time of the trial from the patients. So there could be different case reports form. From the patient number 1, there could be the CRF, case report form number 1. For the patient number 2, there is another case report form. Similarly, so they will collect the case report forms, means whatever the medication is given to the patient number 1, for how many times it is given, what are the effects reported. So, they will maintain it. Another, institute drug control system must proper package, because it is a new drug, so packaging is important. How they are maintaining, how they are doing the packaging, labeling of our investigational drug, sufficient supply should be there. Yes, because it is a part of the clinical trial and it is not very easy to do. So, there should not lack of supply. Storage condition should be maintained properly. Yes, dose preparations are there, means sometimes there is a dilation of the products. So, or maintaining the dosage condition, how to administer the drug. So, these all points are taken care while performing the clinical trial in any of the institutions. Another is the guidelines. So, guidelines for institutions involved with investigational drugs. What are the guidelines? What institution should have? An institution who is performing study on clinical or investigational drugs, they should have a committee called as Institutional Review Committee. It is also named as Committee on Human Investigation. Another name is called Clinical Research Committee. So, what these committees are doing, they are seeing the research proposals and there is a meeting conducted by the committee on seeing or reviewing the research proposals. They, on the basis of legal aspects, on the basis of the feasibility of the study, this committee will approve, either approve or reject the study. If it is approved, of course, trial will be undergone with this institution. So, if it is rejected, of course, study will not perform further. Another is, point number 1, we have discussed, there should be committee. Another is, the investigational drug must be used only under the supervision of investigators. Whatever the study is performed, all by the qualified investigators, and investigators could be physicians, the pharmacists, the nurses, or the team of all of them. The principal investigator, investigators could be also classified as principal investigator and co-investigators. Yes. So, principal investigators is who is solely responsible for study, whereas other members who are helping the study are called as a co-investigators. So, it is written the principal investigator is responsible for obtaining the written informed consent of the patient, then only a patient can participate in the study. Another is the classification of drug. This is also the topic with the investigational use of a drugs, how drugs are classified. So there are basically two types of classification is discussed in this. Point number 1, classification which can be adapted to any hospital research program. So they are classified as class A, class B, class C and class D. Class A means the drugs that are in the preliminary experimental stage, means which is not explored for its effects. So actually the drug, we don't know much about the drug, what are the indications, the drug is new at all. So we are classifying it as a drug A, class A. Another is a class B. In this, what happens, this class consists of investigational use drugs which have passed through the preliminary research stage. So we have some of the information about a drug. This is another class after this. Another is class C. In class C, what happens, it is approved by the USP, United States Pharmacopoeia, or the National Formulary, or passed by the FDA for the commercial distribution. So it is given to the patients. This is another class. Another is the class number D. Class D drugs are preparations which have been accepted for use in the hospital. So the drugs which is utilized in the hospital, we call it as a class D. Yes? Or whatever the drugs are in the hospital formulary, they all come under class D. So this is the classification on the basis of hospital research program. Another classification is on the basis of hospital pharmacy operations. On the basis of basically pharmacy operation. So on the basis of pharmacy operation, there are three classes. One is the general classification, another is the conditional classification, and another is the investigational classification. In general, what happens, the drug is actually accepted by the FDA and it is prescribed by the healthcare professionals. So it's written, it is approved drug by the FDA which is recommended as essential for good patient care with well established usage once accepted. Now in conditional, what happens, it is approved by the FDA but which is under the trial of the committee. So in a hospital, the committee will evaluate a particular drug which is approved by the FDA, and on the basis of the results that committee will see, they will approve it. So a committee wishes to evaluate for given period before final consideration. So in this, there is a role of committee, that's why it is called conditional. Another is investigational. Here the drug is not approved by FDA because we don't know anything about the new drug. It's for new indication, there is a new formulation, there is a for new indication, so the drug is new. So in investigational, what happens, it is not approved by the FDA and it is used. So it is not approved by the FDA for use other than under the controlled clinical settings, must be approved by the research advisory committee, and for that a protocol of any study involving drug must be submitted to the pharmacy. So if we actually want to test any new drug, there is a need of the protocol which is submitted to the pharmacy. Yes. So this is the classification on the basis of hospital pharmacy operation. Another is the control of investigational new drugs. So how to control the new products, means which we actually don't know, we don't have the information, they all are under the testing procedures. How to control these drugs? So there are some of the points considered. All investigational drugs should be registered with the PTC. So any drug which is going to be tested, PTC should know about it, means Pharmacy Therapeutic Committee should know about it. This may be accomplished by a letter, there is a requirement of letter from the principal investigator, means who is testing on the drug, which provides the following information. Whatever the information is required, we are saying we are providing a letter to the PTC, and the information which is written in that letter is a new drug number. Yes, if any drug is there, there is a unique ID. So, ID could be XYZ, generic name of the drug. Yes. So, then there is a manufacturer. After the generic name of a particular drug will provide the who is manufacturing the drug. Another is the chemical name of a drug. Yes, any brand name is there, proprietary name. What is the chemistry of a drug? Yes, for how many areas it is giving effect, means any of the drug can be used in many of the infections. So, what is the pharmacology of a drug? At which dose it is giving the toxicity, so it's called as a toxicity study. What is the dosage range? Of course, dose range if you are saying, of course for the therapeutic efficacy. For therapeutic efficacy, what is the dose range? It could be 100 to 200 mg like this. Method of administration means any of the drug can be administered by IV, any of the drug can be given by oral. So, these are the method. Topical, these all are method of administration. Antidote, if any new drug is given to the patient and after giving to patient, what happens? There is a toxicity. So, it's very important before starting a trial that we should know what is the antidote for it. If any toxicity occurs, what is the new treatment we can give to patient. So, this is called as information about antidote. Then there is a therapeutic use for which we are going to do a testing. Then there is a data sheet on investigational drugs. So, if we are doing a new study on any drug, at that time there is some forms are required, and these forms are required from different departments. One could be by the physician, one could be by the nursing department, another could be by the pharmacy department. So, many pharmacists have developed various forms. These forms are data sheet of course, which may be used to disseminate the information, and the information is written about the new drug, which we are calling as the investigational use of drugs to various staff, doctors and nurses. What are these forms? These forms are titled on the basis of from where we are getting the information. One is a physician's data sheet on investigational drug. Another is nurse data sheet on investigational drugs, as they all are the part of the research. They all are the part of the team members who are performing the studies as a principal investigator or the co-investigators. So, they all are providing a data sheet. Another is a nurse data sheet, another is a pharmacist data sheet. So, we will discuss one by one what is the information is written on the data sheet. First, point number 1, physician data sheet. Information required are as follows. What are the information required? So, means if I am taking an example of in a data sheet. So, name of a drug is written, then there is a manufacturer, whosoever is preparing or manufacturing a drug. What are the supplying source, supplier source? Strength means drug A. What is the concentration? 20 mg per ml. This is called strength. What forms are used? Means capsules, tablets, syrups, emulsions, injections, amount received. So, for any of the investigational use of drugs, if any new drug is used for the clinical research, what happens? Whatever the amount is received from the manufacturer or the supplier, it should be noted. Means, like I am just taking an example of drug received. I have received the 100 mg of a drug from any of the supplier. Then I have given to the patient 50 mg. So, whatever the amount to the patient I have given 50 mg, whatever the amount I have left now, which is called as a 50 mg. So, 100 minus 50 is the 50 mg. This is called as a left amount. Then, if this amount is again if we don't want to give it to the patient, then of course this 50 mg should be discarded, and there are different ways of discarding. Yes, either we can discard it by own, otherwise we can give or return to the suppliers from which we have received. So like this, it's very important to show the amount received, whatever the amount we have received, whatever the amount we have given to the patient, how much left to us, and what are the methods of the discarding, either the returning to the suppliers from where we bought it, another is the discarding by the own. So then there is a date received, on which date a particular formulation is received. Then what is the batch control or batch number? Yes, it's written, this information is taken from the manufacturers. Another is the pharmacological and therapeutic properties of the formulation, and there is the dosage and what are the precautions of the drug, so that when we are giving it to the patient, we should have at least that precautions, and we will give it with the precautions or questions. So arrangements which have made for its administration, what are the arrangements needed? Sometimes what happen, there are very complex administration. Yes, for some of the inhalers, rotovalers, for the injections. Yes, at that time there are some arrangements. Some products are needed for the for preparation of formulation, means requires the dilation of the product. At that time arrangements are needed. Then there is a sign of the investigator. These all informations are given by the physician, and it is written on the data sheet which is provided by the physician. Similarly, there is a nurse data sheet. The information which is provided by the nurse, they include all these. Of course, this point should be covered: name of the investigational drugs, what is the name, what are the manufacturers, who is supplying the drug, what is the strength is used, concentration of the product, in which form a particular product is given to the patient. As the nurses are administrating the drug, of course they have the information about it. So pharmacological and therapeutic properties of any of the formulation that they have received, what are the dosage forms they are giving to the patient, with which precautions they are giving it to the patient. So another is the arrangement. Of course, they are administrating the drug, they know very well about what are the arrangements they have made it. So they will fill all this information and will submit it. So this is called as a nurse data sheet, and information recorded by the nurses. Similarly, the pharmacist also records some of the information, in which same investigational drug is written, what is the name of the drug, then whoso are the manufacturers, then who is the chief investigator of the study, means who is the principal investigator, who is mainly responsible for the study, whatever the date the amount is received, patient, whole therapy. So this is new thing which is given by the pharmacist. So pharmacist will write the patient's therapy chart, means any of the patient, drug A is given to the patient, drug B is given to the patient, frequency means 2 times, OD, drug B 3 times, TID. Yes, in this case it is BID, this in a day, whereas 3 times, like this for 5 days. So patient RX is also given by the pharmacist. Then amount of a drug which is received by the patient, then in which ward the drug is given, and where the patient is actually admitted. So this information is also given by the pharmacist in the pharmacist data sheet and submitted to the of course PTC. Another is the identification of the investigational drugs. So how to identify these drugs? For the investigational drugs, as we have discussed the classes, for the class A and class B, these are the drugs which are for the class A. Class A drugs are which don't pass with the preliminary studies, whereas the class B which just passed with the preliminary studies. So they are the part of the preliminary studies, but they are not approved by the FDA because they don't have any scientific we can say validity at the time. So these classes are identified on basis of some of the points. So whenever class A or class B drugs are dispensed from the pharmacy, they should be labeled. They should be properly labeled because they are dispensed only on the basis of research. They are not on the basis of, they are not dispensed on the basis for maintaining the therapeutic efficacy, because there are many drugs which are given for the therapeutic efficacy. They all are approved by the FDA. So if any class A or class B drugs are dispensed, they are all by the research purpose. So it's very important to maintain the labeling in such a manner, so we can differentiate, as I told you. So to differentiate from the routine prescription drugs. Yes, so what are the routine prescription? Of course, the drugs which are approved by the FDA, they are called as the routine prescription drugs. These all are class A and class B are the investigational drugs. In some hospital, investigational use drugs labels are printed in red ink. So for the identification, they are using a red ink on white paper stock. So whatever the stock is there, on that stock it is written on the red ink, so that the marking is highlighted. In addition to commonly required information, the some of the information is also needed. The information are patient's name, prescription number, it is noted, what is the patient name, then there is a prescription number, so we can allot any number, 1, 2, 3, doctor's name, who is prescribing class A or class B drug, of course for the research purpose. So doctor's name is written here. Then there is a direction of use. How to use means administration, oral, IV, yes, like this. So these all are some information are also needed for the identification of investigational drugs. I hope you all got all of this information. What are the investigational drugs, how to use it, what are the principles required with this, and ultimately the identification of the investigational drug. So thank you so much. We'll meet in the next session.